my invitation. I know you should be a super busy person. So to start off today's discussion, can
Hmm.
you? I know you are into strategic planning, leadership, and you also have your own organization. I check. So can
Hmm.
you give us a full introduction about yourself? Okay, so I would like to give you the chance to introduce yourself. Who's this Jeroen? Who's this leadership coach? And about your background?
Yeah, of course. I'm a strategy expert. My first career was in academia at the university, then transitioned to becoming a consultant, independent consultant, and that's what I've been doing ever since. Um, and next to that, I write books. I have a couple of books on strategy and leadership. Quite active on LinkedIn as a LinkedIn influencer, if you like, and recently started a company, Strategy Inc., together with Timothy Teriyaki, where we really want to change the way strategy is done through coaching, consulting, training, and so on.
Yeah, since you told about LinkedIn, so I could see that you have an impressive follower base there, and you are clearly making a significant impact as a thoughtful leader. So, how has building such a large engaged audience on LinkedIn open up in opportunities for you, both professionally and personally, and also what
Mhm.
advice you would like to give others who are looking to leverage on LinkedIn for building their brands and expanding their influence?
Yeah, so for me, it works out quite well. It's also that's the only content marketing I'm currently doing. If you like to say it like that. Um, yeah, I think it generates a lot of interest just for me as a person. Helps, I think, especially advance credibility, because when you see that, I think currently it's at 275,000, I think, uh, it shows at least a large group of people across the globe is interested in what you do. So that's good for credibility. I also must say, if you're doing it for, let's say, the conversion as a marketing and sales channel, that's not a very efficient way of doing it because it does not easily directly convert to business. It does every now and then, but it's more for visibility and credibility, creating your position as a thought leader. I think that's also immediately kind of the advice. This is not, especially if you're starting, it's not the channel for generating business quickly. You're in this for the long-term game, and the main thing I think your main goal should not be to get business out of it, but the main goal should be to have an impact, to educate people, to help people as much as you can by sharing educational, interesting, useful content. And that's what I've been doing for the last years, and that has worked out um, quite well, as you see.
Mm, interesting. And Sharon, so you told that you are writing books, and also I saw that you are a Forbes contributor. So I
Correct.
think you have written extensively on leadership strategies, and also in today's fast-paced world, what do you consider to be the most critical leadership skills for success? And
Mhm.
how can leaders develop these skills to go ahead of the curve?
That's a big question. Let me start with the skills themselves. Of course, there are
Mm,
many. As a leader, you need proper leadership skills. So people skills and so that I don't want to talk about those generally, but more specifically, I think if you look today, and many people qualify today as a world which is fast, dynamic, changing, uncertain, or they use acronyms like VUCA, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, or BANI, which is brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible, which shows like we're seeing the world as something we cannot grasp and not control. And for me, there's a couple of skills as a leader, and even as just as a person, you need. And one I think is start with inside out thinking. So first, look at yourself, who you are, what you find important, what your competences are, what you're good at, what you like, what you don't like. Because starting outside in, so looking around you, it's so overwhelming. And what do you look at? So this is for individuals, it's for leaders, it's even for companies, and also my approach when I work with organizations. Start inside out. Focus on really what's the identity of the company, because that gives you your kind of stable point of reference. When everything else is in flux, that's your anchor. That's the basis you can build your strategy on. So I think that's one very important aspect for leadership today. Two others I'd like to mention. The second one is empathy. Being able to put yourself in the shoes of others and take into account the interest, not just of other persons, but also of other organizations, nature, animals, the world at large. So really, being able to put yourself in their shoes, try to imagine what it is to be like them and what the consequences of what you do are for them. I think that's such an important skill that we lack so much today. Or actually, I don't think the skill is lacking. I think empathy is built in all of us, but it's not very much activated. We think too selfishly, just look at ourselves or our close inner circle. While if we genuinely look at others and the world at large, I think we'll get much better organizations and solve some of the big challenges we have today. And the third important skill, I think, is a group of skills, strategic competencies. It's a generic way of phrasing it, but what I see an incredible kind of lack of strategic skills, even at executive levels. And partly that's not so strange, because where do you learn those? I think you don't learn them on the job. You don't learn them at an MBA program. So where do you really learn these strategic competencies? So which means like looking at your job, your team, your unit, your company from a holistic perspective and from a long-term perspective. So step back from the daily operations, really look at the big picture, look not just like the next day, the next month, the next year, but even further ahead. I think those strategic competencies are, I think, very critical, which is exactly why I do what I do, is to help people, individuals and organizations, develop such competencies.
Okay. Thank you very much for that descriptive explanation. And are there any particular challenges that you believe leaders are facing at the moment? And if so, how to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think they're kind of the mirror of the skills that I just mentioned. I think the main challenge is kind of being overwhelmed and do as everyone else does. This bandwagon effect where you kind of feel overwhelmed with the changes, the uncertainty, the complexity that you're facing. And then you look at what others are doing and they struggle as well. And you get this kind of vicious cycle where people get more anxious. And so step back from that, look inside. So that's the inside out skill that I just mentioned. Put yourself in their shoes, which is the empathy skill I just mentioned, and think more at the bigger picture, which is the strategic competencies I just referred to. So that's also why I think those three are so important nowadays, because the challenges for leaders are like, how do you stay close to yourself? How do you set out a course if everything else is so in flux? And also, how do you do that in a way where you don't just care about financials, profits, and growth, but truly about what it does to the world, so that you create better organizations, better strategy, not just from a financial perspective, but from a global perspective.
Okay, understood. And so, fostering a culture of innovation and adaptability is important for an individual as well as for organizations. So, could you share some examples, perhaps with the contributions you are doing for the organizations or for the individuals who have successfully implemented such a fostering culture?
Yeah, I don't want to give a specific example because it's never the main purpose of what I do. Because when I work with an organization or people, it's helping them develop their strategy, and fostering a culture of innovation and also adaptability are part of that. But I can mention a couple of things. I think what leaders or consultants or who else is kind of involved in this needs to do. I think the first thing is listen. Really listen to what people are saying, and not just tap into some database and some research on the market, but listen to your people, to their ideas, to their concerns, their issues, their problems, their dissatisfactions, their frustrations, their ambitions, their intentions. So truly listen in, because that's a gold mine of information. For practical improvements. So if you learn about their frustrations, you can resolve them. But also for innovation and adaptability, because in the end, I believe innovation can start with great ideas from some sort of brainstorm or whatever, but to implement them, it's the people who need to do that. And if you listen carefully to their ideas, there's a gold mine of ideas for innovation. So that's one, especially for the innovation part. I think for the adaptability part, and also for the innovation part, by the way, it's kind of trust them, let go, delegate, decentralize, empower. Whatever word you use is kind of help them perform rather than tell them what to do. So get rid of the top-down hierarchy, where people just have to obey your orders or have to work harder, or even have to work smarter. But really give them the freedom. So of course there are some conditions, some boundaries you need to set, but within that, give them as much freedom as possible so that they can do what they think is needed. And I think that creates such a nice working atmosphere where it's pleasant to work, because as a person you can contribute, you can work in a way that you would like to work, you can use your insight, your maximum potential, but it also leads to innovation, it leads to adaptability, because people will signal in their role, in their division, in their unit, what is relevant at that place and at that time, and then they can respond. If you have to do that through the hierarchy of getting formal approval for everything, it's very slow, it's very static. So those are some of the things I would like to see leaders do, and I think also if you are a leader, how you can start. So listen and let go. That's the short the short summary.
Yeah. No, thank you. It's very helpful. And as you told, like building high-performing teams is important. So if we go for micromanagement, like you told, like it won't work, and the productivity in the team will be reduced. So what strategies can leaders use to build and sustain such high-performing teams? So there are people who in organizations, like they build such teams that sustainability or the continuity won't be there. So as strategic leader, what kind of sessions you can give?
Yeah, I think maybe three things I would like to mention. One is create, how do you call it, a safe place, safe atmosphere where it's okay to fail, whether it's support, where you feel like, okay, I can take a risk. You're not immediately punished where you take. So it's a safe social space. I think that's one thing to do. If you just do that, you create organizations which are perhaps very nice to be in, but that are not performing at all. And in some of the articles that I've been using in my work before, I think they call it a country club. So it's very nice, you have fun, but there's no result. So it's one important aspect is the social support that you get. The second thing I think is challenge. Challenge people to go the extra mile, to stretch their competences, to become better, to outperform, to do better than before, which is an important balance, because if you just focus on the challenge part, is what the same article, it's an article on I think ambidexterity by Birkinshaw and some other authors, where they say that you create a burnout context if you just focus on the challenge. And I think many people will recognize that a lot of demand, a lot of stress, but no support. So the golden combination is both. There is a safe atmosphere, there's a safe culture with support, where you can fail, where you can try out things, and at the same time there is challenge and some demand so that you actually perform. A third ingredient that I would add is transparency, openness, and communication. And of course, it's related to maybe both of these first things, but worthwhile mentioning separately. I think being very transparent in what's happening, what's expected, what you want from people, where the organization is, even the financials. So if you give people all the information that they need, they can decide, they know what is important, they understand why, for instance, high performance is so important and how what they do contributes to the bigger purpose of the organization. So social support, challenge, and openness or transparency and communication would be three things I would focus on.
Okay, got it. And how important is diversity within these teams, and what kind of roles does it play in their performance and creativity?
Mm-hmm. I think diversity is essential, and that research shows that I think all the time more plural or more heterogeneous teams perform better. And this is also something I I adopt in my approach with companies, get a as diverse team as possible, where I don't mean specifically like gender or cultural background. That's of course important, but I find even more important, let's say from a business point of view, diversity in experience, in level, so not just top level, but also lower levels, in function or role in the organization, so that you have someone from marketing, sales, production, engineering, and so on and so forth. So very diverse in terms of educational background, experience, and also I think diversity in attitude. Some people are very kind of innovation driven. They want to experiment. They always look at the new things. They're more progressive. Other people are more conservative. They resist change. They are a bit more skeptical initially. So if you need both if you want to have a high performing organization, because I think that's the goal, not just having a single high performing team, but you want high performing teams to create a high performing organization. You need those more conservative, skeptical people involved as well, because in reality, you have those in your organization. So if you want to implement your strategy, if you want to execute it, you need them on board as well. So better include them already in the beginning. That may not be the recipe for the best high-performing team, but since as an organization you don't have the choice, like who do I put in the team, of course a little bit with recruitment and retention and so on, but the current employees is typically a given, and for making a change, for innovation, for executing a new strategy, you need all of them on board. So rather have a good representation of that organization in the team in order to start with to get a good, successful strategy execution project from day one.
Yeah. And technology is transforming how decisions are made. And based on your insights you're giving, how can leaders leverage technology to enhance their strategic decision making process?
Yeah, for me, technology, the role is important, but also limited. I see the role for technology very much in anything that's data driven. So, and that's of course one important pillar in strategy is gather data, analyze data, and discover patterns. So this includes big data and also I think artificial intelligence. Let the technology do the part where technology is good at, which is pattern recognition, even with generative AI, also based on, let's say, large amounts of data and create even new ideas and new options from that. And that, I think, gives a lot of space to make strategy more human-centered, which is, if there's one word capturing what I do and also what we do with Strategy Inc., it's a more human-centered approach to strategy. And the interesting thing is if you can have technology kind of do a lot of stuff, you can focus more on what makes us really human and uses truly human characteristics in strategy. For instance, our judgment, intuition, opinions, values, norms, empathy. So there's a lot of subjective, personal, human aspects that we have currently kind of undervalued and underused in most strategy work, because strategy is typically a very analytical left brain activity where you analyze. If you gather data, you analyze and then you decide. Technology can be great for that, but the more human side is underemphasized, and if we have technology do the other part, we actually have more time and room for, I think, a truly human-centered approach to strategy.
Yeah, understood. And looking ahead, what trends do you see shaping the future of leadership and strategy? And how can current and aspiring leaders prepare for the changes, like as you are suggesting to organizations and maybe to the Forbes contributions?
Yeah, I find it always hard. I'm not so much a trend person. As I started with my first answer, I start inside out. But I do have, maybe it's not a trend yet, but more like it's more idealistic. It's more a hope and a more, I think, what we should do, and that is much more, I think, change the way we think about business. And so from this very economic and efficiency thinking to more, let's say, impact and value thinking. What from taking to giving, from profit to sustainability. So I think that's, maybe it's a trend. I don't know. You see some developments, but you also see counter movements happening depending on where you are in the world and which political color you vote and so on. But that's my hope, and I think also the only way, if we want to maintain our position as human beings here on this planet, so move to a much more human-centered, caring approach, which we see at some places. For instance, in the European Union, they talk about the shift from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0, which is much more a human, sustainability-driven approach to business. So that's what I hope, and I see clear signals that at least with some parts of society, some organizations, some leaders, and many of them move in that direction. And I truly hope that will become a dominant trend across the world.
Yeah. So yeah, as you told, like based on the place where we are living, the things are changed as well. So as a top, so since our time is also coming to an end, as a top LinkedIn creator and a Forbes contributor and a strategic planner for organizations, how do you stay on the cutting edge of leadership and strategy? And what advice would you like to give to those who are looking to make a similar impact?
Mhm. How I stay on top of this is read.
Mm.
That's basically so. It's my version of listen is read and reading books, um, and sometimes also like old classics. So not just go with kind of the newest trend because I don't care so much about that. So really also the fundamentals, enrich that thing. Yeah, read broadly. I think that's the main thing. Is whatever is is interesting, could be relevant. Absorb that. Be like a sponge and absorb all these new things that you can learn. And then I think what I would recommend generally is, okay, then let that sink in, and then create your own version of it. Make your own version of it. So that's again the inside out approach that I mentioned. Um, Trust your gut feel, your intuitions, and think about what you can add, not just in terms of how can you get more followers or more money, but how can your point of view, what is your point of view, what can you add, what kind of interesting insights can you provide, that's different from others. So what is your unique voice that you can develop and share with others to make your personal impact on the world?
Sure. And finally, like that is also one of the advices. So finally, as a conclusion, what's the piece of advice you can give to anyone who is beginning their career and like the people like us to build their brands or build their own paths? That reading is one of the best thing like we can do, reading, watching, anything like we
Mhm.
can grab knowledge. Any piece of advice, any other than what you told?
Yeah, maybe just a rephrase of the same thing is this, so read, listen a lot,
Mm.
but then ignore all of that and look inside. So what does your gut feel tell you? What's your judgment, your viewpoint? Because I think that's so important, so interesting, so valuable. And this is what I've done. So I've been reading a lot, I've been seeing a lot, I've been in different roles. I've been in academia as a consultant, a trainer, a mentor, and so on. But then in what I produce in the programs we have with Strategy Inc., it's really more based on what I think should happen. So then ignore what is popular, ignore what is the trend, and really focus on how you think things should be done, and let that be your contribution.
Mm. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeroen. So I personally learned a lot, and I hope this session would be very insightful and inspiring for the audience about who are interested in making their lives impact as well as to their organizations and impact. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to connect with you and to have this discussion. Yeah, wishing you all the very best and have a nice day. I think it's your morning, right?
No, it's afternoon here right now, but thank you very much for asking these questions and giving me the platform to share some of my thoughts with others in the world.
Yeah, thank you very much. Much appreciated. We'll keep in touch with you.
Okay, so what's the plan now in terms of next
Uh,
steps?
yeah, so I'll be uploading this video in about 1 week. I'll post this. My YouTube channel has around 1,200 plus subscribers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have done some leadership coaches, AI AI leads, NASA scientists, like yeah. So that's why I thought of
Yeah, so
talking.
that's so in a week from now, then that's where you put it out.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
We'll share the link as well once I publish.
Okay.
Okay. So you're based in UK, US?
No, I'm in the Netherlands.
Ah, Netherlands. Okay. Mm, okay.
By the way, the connection now has become very bad, so you're freezing. But I think that didn't happen during the recording, so that's good.
No, no, no. You're gonna be out somewhere or with the background again? It's your home?
Sorry, what? This
No.
is my office. Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay, okay. Hmm.
All right.
All right then. Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a nice day. If you feel this video is insightful, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like, watch, and share with your friends. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my tech YouTube channel, Yasumi. So today I am bringing you one of the top voices on LinkedIn, one of the top people who's making an impact on individuals and organizations. Once, one of my friends during a recording told, to become a leader, you should be a good follower. If someone has around 300,000 followers on LinkedIn, he should be perfectly a good leader. So, Jeroen is one of them, and Jeroen is coming to share the stage today with me.